If some crazy makeup maniac broke into my house and stole these 8 palettes, would I repurchase them? Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel. If you are new here, welcome. And if you're not new here, thanks so much for coming back. So today, this is episode 3 of Would I Repurchase These Palettes? This is a fun way to give you kind of mini eyeshadow palette reviews of palettes that are newer, older, a mix of affordable, high-end, indie, all different kinds of palettes in my collection. And so I kind of imagine a hypothetical situation where these go missing from my collection. The way that I like to do it is that I want to imagine that I have owned these palettes before. I do know the formula. I do know how much use I've gotten out of the palettes. It's not like they're brand new launching right now. So that's kind of where I take it and twist it and make it my own. By the way, this original idea came from Dolly Mama Beauty. I will link her channel down below. And like I've said, I've done this video twice before, so I will link the other 2 videos down in the description box. I will link these palettes down in the description box, everything that I'm wearing on my face down in the description box. And if you do enjoy this video while you're watching it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoy makeup content, especially eyeshadow content, I would definitely suggest considering subscribing to my channel before you leave. Let's get to it. And we're just gonna start off with the first palette on the top of the stack. There's no particular order that I'm going in. I just randomly picked a number 1 through 10, just in my mind. Usually I have my fiance do it, but he's at work. So I just came up with a number in my mind. I went over to my eyeshadow collection and I counted. The number was 8, in case you're wondering. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, picked it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, picked it out. Okay, so completely random. So the first palette that I picked out was the Natasha Denona Mini Bronze palette. If you've watched my recent eyeshadow palette ranking videos, you know the answer to this one. Hell yes, I would repurchase it in a heartbeat. Now this palette, it's not the most exciting color story that ever existed, but it is a good, solid, easy travel, neutral palette that's going to give you consistently pretty neutral looks. I love a neutral look. I mean, I'm wearing color today, but I am typically more of a neutral gal. I love, love, love this palette quality. I really love the warm neutrals that you're getting in this. My only thing I would change is I would add one more lighter shimmer than this shade, although this shimmer is beautiful for all over the lid, this like warm bronzy shade. Oh my goodness. Absolutely stunning. The quality of the mattes is the usual Natasha Denona, great quality, blendable yet pigmented, easy to work with, but soft. I mean, they're just really, really gorgeous shades. I love neutrals. If you don't love neutrals, don't even go near this because you're going to get a neutral look every time. But yes, I would definitely repurchase this one. By the way, as I'm going through these palettes, I want to hear your thoughts on them. If you have them or if you want them, let me know your thoughts. The next eyeshadow palette is the Purple Haze palette from Rock and Roll Beauty. This was the collaboration they did with Jimi Hendrix. I did a whole review on the collection. I bought many things from the collection. I can link that video down below. But overall, honestly, I was pretty impressed. I had pretty low expectations for the brand. I thought it was kind of gimmicky, like taking personalities from rock and roll and using them to sell products. But actually, the quality of this palette, I like it. It's a very unique palette in the formula as well as the color story. This very cool toned purple, pretty much all cool toned purple looks is what you're gonna get out of it. The mattes in this are very silky. They're not powdery at all whatsoever. So they're not like extremely pigmented. They do require some building, but I actually like it because they're purples. They are easier to work with in the sense that they're not super fallouty. Is that a word? Super fallouty? It is now. The metallics in this are definitely more on the satin side. They don't have a ton of sparkle to them, but they are really, again, easy to use shades. This one over here called Boss, that's probably the most textured one, but really not very textured compared to like indie shadows if you're into that type of thing. But actually, I really like this palette. I did get quite a few great looks out of the palette. So would I repurchase this one? Honestly, I think I would. I really enjoy it. I want this in my collection for a little bit longer to get some more use out of it. It's a good purple palette. Is it the best palette in the world? No. But I enjoy it and I would repurchase it. Okay, the next palette is another neutral palette. I picked a lot of neutral palettes. Listen, I was being completely random, okay? Don't get mad at me. But this is the Patrick Ta Major Dimension, the original Major Dimension. So this palette is straight up a neutral palette, but it's got a lot of different textures to it. The mattes are absolutely beautiful. I really, really fully enjoy the mattes in this palette. They are pigmented yet blendable. Take a drink for every time I say pigmented yet blendable. The metallics in this are a little bit more on the toppery side, more dry side to be honest with you, but they add a little sparkle to your look. You do have these two cream shades over here, which I fully enjoy using these as eyeliner and then packing some of the darker matte shade on top. It's a great way to use them. I really enjoy this palette. I would repurchase it because I do feel like it's a very unique neutral palette because of those textures. And I just love Patrick Ta. I just love the brand, the aesthetic, the vibe. I feel luxurious when I use this palette. Like I just feel bougie, like I'm treating myself. This is a really pretty palette and I would repurchase it even though it's expensive. Okay, and now next up we have the Alamar Cosmetics Spanglish palette. So I love the brand Alamar. I own a lot of their products and their eyeshadows are really nice. They are definitely more of that, like if you love super pigmented metallic shades, the mattes are really pretty. The metallic shades in this, like, I don't know if you can tell with this shade, it is very chunky, like very, very chunky. Not my most favorite, to be honest with you. Not my most favorite metallic formula in this particular palette yet. It's very messy. Although they do look absolutely gorgeous, like once they're on the eyes, once they're swatched out. They're very bold, they're very bam, all of that, but they're a little bit on the finicky side. I did pull this out this past summer and did a couple of looks with it, which I really enjoyed the looks, but I had not really used it in a couple of years. And honestly, I would not repurchase this one. I don't feel like it is one of my favorite palettes. I don't feel like it's my favorite palette to use, especially the shimmers being so chunky and crumbly. They're not my most favorite. I do love the color story. And also 2 of the 4 metallics are pretty dark, which is not my preference either. So it's a good palette. I don't think I would repurchase it. Okay, the next palette is the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. I've talked about this a lot on my channel recently as well, and I love this palette. I think it's a great neutral palette. I think it's very user-friendly. Are these the most bold, exciting shadows, like crazy, sparkly metallics, really pigmented mattes? No. But I don't really expect that from Urban Decay Naked palettes. So I feel like this has a time and a place. Would I repurchase this palette? I need to use this palette again because I've not used it in such a long time. I think I would repurchase it. I just love neutrals and I love these mustardy type of neutrals. Again, it's more of a unique neutral palette. I would hope that it's on sale when I go to repurchase it. If it was full price, I think I would. Looking at it, I need to use this again. It is absolutely gorgeous. I would repurchase it. Okay, the next palette I have is the Juvia's Place the Saharan 2 palette. Okay, so funny story about this. I did a eyeshadow palette declutter on my channel. I don't know when it was, a long time ago, over a year ago now, and I did actually declutter this palette. But whenever I do a declutter with all of my products, I bring them to my future sister-in-laws. My fiance has 4 sisters and also a teenage niece. So I let them look through my products as long as they're not like expired or nasty. If they're lightly used, I let them go through them. And nobody took this palette. And I just could not bring myself to throw it away. The metallics are stunning. Again, I should take this out. I've not used it in so long. This mint metallic is so pretty. This more like, it's almost a duochrome white to goldish type of shade. This also like peach, just gorgeous. Oh my goodness. Smooth, super like wet looking, absolutely stunning metallics. But with that being said, would I repurchase it? No, I don't think I would repurchase it. I do want to get some good use out of it, but I don't think I would end up repurchasing this one if it went missing. It is a great palette, but I just don't really use it enough for it to like be making me so sad if it got lost or stolen. Hope that makes sense. All right, the next palette is the Sweet Talk palette from ColourPop. Once again, I have not used this one in forever. Now this is gonna look a little different than maybe what you know if you have it, because I did actually depot the pressed glitter that was in here. Actually, were there 2 pressed glitters? These 2 shades, I depotted them and I put in actually a couple of shades from another ColourPop palette that I ended up decluttering most of the shades from, because these are magnetic pans. I was able to replace them. I don't use pressed glitters, so I wanted to just get the glitter out of there and put something else in that kind of went with it. Yeah, I really love this palette. This used to be one of my favorite palettes. Definitely one of my top favorite ColourPop palettes. I love that they included a Super Shock. That's like the first time, I think it was one of the first times they put a Super Shock in a palette. I wonder if it's still good. It's a little dry and chunky, but it is really pretty, maybe as like more of a toppery shade. I don't even know if you're gonna be able to see it because it's just kind of a toppery situation. One of my favorite looks to do is a rosy pink look on my eyes. It is one of my favorite colors to work with, and this is just pretty much all pinky tones with a couple of neutrals in there. I love the color story of this one. It's totally me. Would I repurchase this? Honestly, I don't think I would. I have the Patrick Ta Rose palette, which I feel like could give me similar vibes to this, and I like that one more. But this one is still gorgeous. If you are on a budget and you want a rosy tone palette, this one is absolutely beautiful. But no, I don't know that I would repurchase it right now. The last palette I want to talk about is the Natasha Denona My Dream palette. If you saw my last ranking video, you know what the answer is to this. Absolutely, 100%. I would repurchase this palette. This is definitely going to be one of my most favorite palettes for the year 2022. It is an absolute dream, as the name would imply. I love the versatility of looks you can get. Warm tone, cool tones, smoky tones, bright tones, neutral. There's different textures. There's a duochrome. There's cream to powder. There's a black, which I love. There are all different matte shades that you can really change up the look of what you've got going on. The quality is absolutely stunning because it's Natasha Denona. The packaging is really nice too, this soft, matte, rubbery type of feel. It's very different for her brand. So I would definitely repurchase this one. I know it's a very high price tag, but in my opinion, it is worth the price, and I would happily spend the price again on the palette to get this again. I'm so excited to use this for the fall and winter. I think it's a perfect fall palette. All right, and that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this Would I Repurchase palette video. In the end, we had 5 palettes I would repurchase, and then only 3 that I would not repurchase. So that's exciting. I know I said that I was going to be doing a palette collection video that is going to come up probably at the end of the year. I do think I need to do a slight declutter of my palettes. I don't think I'm gonna declutter a whole bunch, but I figured I could do a 2-in-1, like show my entire eyeshadow palette collection and then also declutter a few here and there that I felt like I didn't need in my collection anymore. Let me know if that's something you are interested in. I know I mentioned it in a past video and a lot of you were interested in that. It's coming. It's coming probably at the end of the year. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot when you do that. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe before you leave. I do upload videos weekly, both beauty and fashion videos, and I would love to see you back on my channel again. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.